Aloha, my name is Megan. I'm here at Body and Life Yoga in Maui, Hawaii, and today I wanted to give you a few helpful hints to help you forward fold safely. So, a lot of the times throughout the day, we are seated and we're doing things in front of us that take us into a rounded position. So this becomes one of our postural patterns, and so it makes sense that when we come onto the mat, we kind of fall back on our postural patterns. But that's why we're practicing yoga, so that we can become aware of these patterns and start to counter them by moving into the opposite position and to help strengthen the muscles that support this more neutral, elongated, open position. And so what I wanted to show you today is how we can safely strengthen and lengthen the back of our body so that we move into forward fold safely. So when we come onto the mat and we go towards a seated forward fold, we will often see in my classes or work with some of my private clients, I will often see people go right to this postural pattern. So see that pattern there, and they'll think, okay, I gotta go into my forward position, look at me go, I'm rounding over, I'm totally slumped, I look like I wilted over, and it's actually counteractive to getting further into your forward fold, and it's actually unsafe. When you move into that rounded back, you create and put a lot of pressure on the intervertebral discs. So these are the little shock absorbing cushions that are between your spinal vertebrae. And so when you move into that rounded position, it puts a lot of pressure on the front of the disc. And in order to protect yourself, your body will tighten so that it doesn't go too far into a dangerous position, but it'll tighten. And when it's tightening, it's not allowing you to release and to lengthen into the elongation of the back of your body that you're trying to achieve when you're doing a forward fold. So, counterproductive. So what I wanted to show you today is how to kind of take your forward fold and move into it safely and thereby deepen it gradually and progressively. So because we're stretching the back of our body, the front of our body needs to become active. So you want to think of engaging your quadriceps. You'll see the muscles tighten up, you'll feel your legs engage, and it almost feels like you could draw your sit bones back a little bit. You'll also engage your belly. So what you're doing is you're going to start to imagine that you're pushing your heels down and forward and you're dragging your sit bones back. You're pulling them towards the back of the mat, or if you were sitting in a chair, you're trying to scoot them towards the back of the mat. What you're doing there is putting your pelvis into a tilted forward position or an anterior tilt, so you're moving forward a little bit. So you're already setting the stage for your abdomen to start to descend down towards your belly. Notice how I haven't rounded over yet. And so you're moving your sit bones back a little bit, your legs are firm, your belly is firm, and what comes down first is actually your abdomen, so that you're starting to fold from your hips, thereby folding safely. So I get to about here and I'm feeling some restrictions and tightening in my hamstrings, and this is where, if the postural pattern kicked in, I would want to go and just totally round over. Look how far back my upper back jetted out, and my sternum is totally rounded in on itself, my chest is collapsed, and I just compensated by moving into that tight position. So instead of going there, I would stop. I would re-engage my legs, I would drag my sit bones back, and I would just take some breaths there. You can really imagine that you're doing your cat and cow almost here. You're going to inhale, elongate your belly and chest forward, exhale, really draw your sit bones back, and really draw in and back with your belly. And so then we start to come down, belly, and eventually our chest is coming down, and that's how eventually, the eventual progression of the pose is to bring our head down towards our legs, on towards our legs. And just because it's the image and a full extent of the pose, it doesn't mean that's what's going to happen for you necessarily today, necessarily in this lifetime, but that's where we're headed, because we engage so much the front line of our body that the back line just opens up. We get a lot of freedom, we get a lot of mobility, and then eventually we can fold ourselves in half. But you don't want to start by trying to get your head down anywhere, because you're going to really miss over the opportunity to stretch and lengthen your hamstrings, which is what you're trying to achieve when you're in a forward folded position. So I hope those are going to be some helpful tips and tricks for you, and hopefully you can integrate them into your practice. And I would love to hear any feedback, or please feel free to ask any questions that you have. And if you're here on Maui or you're coming by for a visit, please feel free to stop by. I would love to practice with you, have you here in the studio with us. And yes, so take that, hopefully integrate it, and have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. Aloha, namaste.